Hey everyone, welcome to the Rarible DAO community call on July 1st, 2021. Today we have a really cool agenda, a different agenda for the week, where we're going to be going over the current state of the DAO and just demonstrating a little bit where we want to go over the next year or so. And then after that, Alex is going to come on and we're going to keep diving into the protocol, talking
Pronto,
about
isso aí é difícil de.
the value propositions of the protocol, and opening it up to anyone who has questions, so we can dig in and really try to understand where the protocol fits into the space and how we can all help that growth essentially. So yeah, we can get started. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So, all right, can you guys all see that? All right. Oh yeah, the other thing, if we have time at the end, Mark always has some interesting news to share, so we'll dive into that, but we'll reserve that last to see if we have time for it, because we'll reserve it for the other content first. So the current state of the DAO, if we think about kind of the components of it, right? We have token holders, which vote on proposals, which are posted in Snapshot. We then have proposers, which right now they submit proposals, they jump through a bunch of hoops. Right now, there's the forum that they post on, there's the proposal review calls, there's whatever discussions with the community, there's some hoops there. And then eventually they post it on Snapshot and the token holders get to vote on it, right? After the proposal in Snapshot, the multi-sig for the DAO, which includes right now the signers are myself, Alex, and Alexi, execute those proposals. So that's kind of the flow right now. And really what the scope of that includes, there might be others that I missed here, but it includes the spending of funds, rules and social norms. Obviously rules and social norms wouldn't need to be executed by the DAO. They would be more enforced at this level, at the proposal level, so that us in the community, we can say, hey, no, we agreed not to do that, or yes, we agreed to do that. So social norms, the DAO structure, so removing Snapshot or things like that, we have the power to decide that. The rare distribution and changing protocol parameters. So a lot of these actually require still today a middleman to change. So for example, if we change protocol parameters, if we add a fee to the protocol or something like that, today we'd still need a middleman to make changes to the protocol. And same thing with the funds, right? The Snapshot would vote on sending funds to someone, and then the multi-sig, which is the middleman, would execute that. So it's not all connected together, and the token holders can't execute these things directly. So really the two things that the proposal process need a middleman for changes to the protocol, the rare distribution, things like that. It's important to know we're still centralized. We're still really obviously, the team can choose not to execute a lot of these things, or can choose not to post things on Snapshot. And it's important to realize that we're still centralized. It's still very we're not actually a DAO. We're moving towards a DAO. We're calling ourselves a DAO, but we're not actually fully there yet. It's going to be a process. The other important thing to note is Rarible.com and where Rarible.com fits in, right? So the DAO actually technically doesn't really have any authority over Rarible.com, right? It doesn't own Rarible.com. It doesn't, we can't vote to have an artist show up on Rarible.com or make changes to how Rarible.com looks and things like that. Rarible.com is a company. There is, however, the situation where like the company Rarible.com might propose to the DAO and say, hey DAO, what do you guys think? Should we make this change? And then the DAO would vote, and then Rarible.com would choose to implement it. But it's not really tied, and there's no plan to make the DAO control Rarible.com. So that's kind of how these pieces fit together. And where we want to get to is something like this, right? Where you have token holders, they delegate their votes to working groups or individuals, which we're moving towards pretty soon with the staking. And these individuals with votes vote and execute on proposals directly on proposals that are submitted. And those are immediately executed. So there's no middleman, it's direct token voting. And those would affect the Rarible protocol, distribution from the treasury, or how Rari's allocated. And it's just a direct token voting, right? So it would be given ownership over the protocol. So it would actually be able to implement those changes directly. And also the, you know, obviously the Rari treasury. So that's kind of like where we are, where we're going, and hopefully, you know, we can bridge this gap sooner than later. But that's kind of the high level. So I just wanted to stop there and you know, give a second for people to comment or ask questions or anything like that. But that's kind of what we're looking at.
I think one of the comments that I have, or maybe I need some clarity on, or maybe you guys could actually give your thoughts, is the tokens that we use, right? I think initially the Rari token was deployed to sort of like act as a token to, you know, I guess maybe have, or we hold Rarible capital, but at the same time also use for voting certain features for Rarible.com. At the same time, where we're at right now, it's also a DAO governance token. And so I feel like one token is doing both at the same time, which I think is fine. But it seems like the people who currently hold large bags of Rari are not in the know of like what we're doing in the DAO.
Right.
And so, you know, I mean, in recent proposals, right, which clearly can contribute so much to the DAO, was downvoted by certain large token holders. And so I feel like there's a certain disconnect there. I don't know. I can't pinpoint where it is, but to me, it seems like at least the history of the token is still very much tied to Rarible.com.
Yeah.
Maybe different for, you know. So yeah, I don't know if anyone has thoughts about that.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I don't even think that when the token launched, there was a plan with the token, you know, like there wasn't a utility, right? It was literally like, we're launching a token and, you know, we'll figure it out. So yeah, it's definitely like it's a challenging time right now because there's a lot of people who still think Rari is associated with Rarible.com. And, you know, we're in the dividing phase of like the cell of you know, the creature that was created. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of education work around like the utility of Rari and the protocol and getting everyone on the same page there, definitely. And yeah, in terms of token holders, yeah, the you know, the distribution so far has been to creators, buyers and sellers on the platform. And so, you know, there's going to be a shift coming where when a lot of the investor tokens are going to be distributed. So right now, a lot of the investors who invested in Rarible and the token, they don't have their tokens yet. they're going to be issued the tokens when staking is enabled. Yeah, that should shift the dynamics quite a bit, because then you're going to have a lot of people who understand the vision and like the protocol, and a lot of voting power is going to be delegated in that process. But yeah, until then, it's a bit challenging, because a lot of the tokens are just like, they're basically just given to the community or purchased on secondary markets. So there's definitely a misalignment, but you know, it's a growing pain. You know, we're gonna have to figure it out. There's some really important proposals right now that I'm not sure if I want to submit to the DAO. You know, I don't want them to fail. Like, for example, the change in the token distribution, going to apps, and you know, the rewards going to stakers and stuff like that. Part of me is like hesitant to submit them right now, because I don't want to submit and then them fail, and then like, okay, we got to figure out what to do. So yeah, I'm very much on the same page and thinking about that as well.
And I feel like that becomes like a sort of like an issue or a challenge or a friction here, because you know, we wanted to incentivize contributors to, you know, to the DAO, but then it's hard to move forward. You know, we want to keep people engaged in participating and contributing, but how can we do that if you know, contributors don't get compensated? You
Yeah,
know, it's it's such a it's a challenge.
it's a challenge. I mean, we're working really hard to enable staking as soon as possible, which should solve all that. And then also, you know, I've been talking to token holders to try to get them more involved in our governance process. So, you know, hopefully we can solve that behind the scenes, and you know, carefully navigating these next few weeks. But yeah, I agree. Hey, Alex.
Hey team. How are you guys?
Were you actually running? You went for a run?
No, I was running.
Oh no. He messaged me, he was running, so I imagine he went for a run, but I guess he was running between goals. Cool. Nice.
I was trying to make it. Yeah, to make it.
So yeah, I just gave an overview of the DAO, where we currently stand, where we're going, talking about, like, you know, just getting everybody on the same page. And yeah, you know, we hopefully are you good to go to kind of keep talking about the protocol and kind of take off where we started ended last week?
Yep, exactly. Let me grab my iPad.
Okay.
Maybe just to start, somebody has questions where we left off the last time. Or was it, or probably not everybody participated, right? So
probably not. We can probably start from scratch. Just I mean, I think it was pretty high level what we started last time, but
there's still argument about whether it is poetry or not.
Okay. Let me connect with my iPad.
There we go. And then I'll give you some. Here, I should be able to screen share now.
Okay. Yep. Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
So the last time we spoke, I covered briefly like how exactly the liquidity layer can really bootstrap the ecosystem the way that Uniswap and AMMs did in DeFi. So we have this order book, we have AMM, which serves as a core of a lot of projects, because if the project, if imagine like this year we had an explosion of stable coins, algorithmic stable coins, dynamic supply stable coins, all sorts of things like that. And a lot of them, what they actually were doing is they were liquidating, they were buying and selling their own asset in order to keep the peg. They needed a place to buy and sell the asset. And all of that happened on AMM DEXs, where you have a liquidity pool that works as a price discovery and an exchange, basically. So the idea of the protocol is to be the same place for NFTs, to become the really liquid order book based, or at some point might be AMM based for NFTs layer, so that if you're building an NFT lending service, for example, in the event that somebody didn't return the loan, you need to liquidate their NFT. How do we do that? We go to Rarible Protocol and we say like sell the NFT, please, because we know the price, which is in the order book, hopefully is in the order book. And then we want to incentivize a fill of those order books with bids and asks. So there is like an idea like to give them rary, or to distribute parts of the fees the same way that Uniswap does. It incentivizes the pool members so that every time there is a sell or purchase happening, they got part of the fees. So what part of what I just tried to recoup is like completely unclear, like foggy, sounds strange. I don't know at all. What should we concentrate on?
Yeah, maybe I can just like maybe moderate or steer a little bit. So right now you have like centralized exchange or centralized marketplaces, right? Like
Yep.
Super Rare, and I mean, I don't know if centralized the right word, but you know, Super Rare, OpenSea, Rarible, and right now they all have their own order books, right?
Yep.
Like everyone has their own order books. So the protocol, the idea behind the protocol is that we would have a shared order book between many different applications, right?
Exactly.
Like at the end of the day, that's the idea. And by having many applications using the same order book, the idea is that there would be a lot more liquidity, and it would be you know, a shared order book, so it would be a much deeper liquidity, and so you'd get network effects and building all that, right?
Yeah, that's the core goal. The best liquidity plays. The thing you really care about is can I buy or sell it here? If there is a lot of buyers, if there is a lot of sellers, if there is a lot of bids already on the items that are interesting for you, you have them in your wallet. If there are a lot of bids for those items, then that's a place to be. If there are a lot of items on the sale, again, that are interesting to you, that's the place to be.
So can you talk a little bit about what are some of the challenges to actually achieve that vision? Like, what do you see as like the biggest hurdles to get there?
Yep. So is the biggest hurdle for today, I believe, is the cost of adoption. So inside Rarible.com, we spent, I don't know, several weeks, more than a month, to adopt the protocol, the way that we can do all the things that we need to do on the marketplace with the protocol. And it costs a lot to adopt it. It costs in terms of just, it's not easy. For Uniswap, it's calling one function. You just usually that's contract to contract interaction, and you want to call a function sell, and you have a list of tokens, the very popular tokens. For example, if a wallet wants to adopt the Uniswap protocol, they go to CoinGecko, they take the list of top 100 tokens, they create a list, and they create these two fields, like what I want to buy, what I want to sell, and then you click swap, and they call one Uniswap function. So the AMM not an order book based thing. It's really like brain that simple in terms of when it comes to the usage. So as for the protocol, you actually need to do a lot of things. You need to query the protocol for all the items that are available on sale. That gives you an orders, the sell orders. Then you want to fill one of those orders with the buy order. You need to reverse the order. You need to submit a transaction. You need to sign a message. And it sounds a little bit complicated to me, although it's flexible, so you can do a lot with it. It was specifically designed to be flexible, so that I don't know, if you're a wallet, you want to create a storefront, or if you are a marketplace and you want to do some crazy things, so you can do that with the protocol because it's flexible. But if you just want to buy or sell them, it's you still need to go all with all those steps. So to me, that's one of the biggest challenges. We have amazing job done by Isaac and the team on improving the documentation. I don't know who participated in the recent hackathon. I mean, as an observer or some just.
I'm not
like
sure
that.
if anyone here did.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite a few teams actually are building things in the hackathon.
It's great. During the previous hackathons, I guess none of the teams was able to get to the actual buying and selling.
Yeah.
They literally weren't able to get to there.
Yeah, definitely a challenge, and we're going to be ramping that up on the documentation and developer relations front.
Yeah, challenges. It's just the difficulty. And the next challenge would be of adoption. That it's quite hard to build an on-chain order book.
Is there also a challenge? I mean, I know that we've been talking about building an auction mechanism.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this is like veering off the challenges, but like, you know, if the auction mechanism doesn't use our order book, does that split up liquidity, or is there a way to like unify that?
That's a great question. I guess the liquidity in general in the NFT world is split up by for each NFT. Each NFT has a separate liquidity pool,
Right.
and that's a lot of fragmentation on the market. So AMM, it's like you have $100 million pool for ETH and DAI, or I don't know, probably $1 billion pool on ETH and DAI right now. But I don't know which is the most liquid NFTs out there. Which are the most liquid NFTs?
No idea. That's a really good question. I mean, it'd be really cool to get that information and see like what probably like Bored Ape Yacht Club type of thing, maybe.
Yeah,
Some of these yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and still for each CryptoPunk, you have like 5 bits one side. But already, if you manage to make those bits on chain, and they are committed to be there for some time. So, for example, I'm making a bid. I'm making a bid of 20 ETH for a CryptoPunk, and I commit that I cannot withdraw that bid. Bid for 30 days. Okay. So what does that mean? That if I'm an owner of that CryptoPunk, I know that somebody wants it for 20 ETH and they're living there. and they're committed for 30 days. I can go to, I don't know, Nft. I don't actually know their business model, or just how do they work, but they wanted to create this lending service. And so like I can go and say like I want 10 ETH of like loan for 20 days. That would work. So this is the probably point where we want to go. And probably a more ideal situation is I can have a bid, a 5 ETH bid for any CryptoPunk. So that would severely shorten the fragmentation of the market, because now the owner of any CryptoPunk can go and take a loan for his CryptoPunk. Well, we're not exactly sure that people want to have loans for their items, but I suppose so.
Totally. And what about the target markets for the protocol, and like the audiences? Like, I mean, in my mind, there's like, different categories. Off the top of your head, do you know what like the main clients in a way are for the protocol?
Yes, we have a lot of like aggregators of protocol now. We have Zapper, Zerion, Instadap. Those are the people who target connections of different protocols to give their users the ability to participate in the protocol with their assets. So I suppose this is the target market for the protocol. MetaMask connected the aggregator protocol for ERC20 tokens, and they're doing like $200,000 a day of revenue with it.
Actually, I want to stop you on one point. So right now, if you look at like the liquidity and the order book, right? I mean, OpenSea probably has the most buy and sell volume. So, I mean, what's preventing OpenSea from taking this approach and just saying, okay, they want Zapper Zerion to integrate into the OpenSea order book, and they want to be the most liquid order book. Like, why do you think the protocol approach is a better approach than like OpenSea and who's a company with a deep order book right now?
Yep, it's a very good question. So basically, that's how like smaller players can combine their liquidity into the bigger one than any existing player. So it's basically, yes, they could do that. They didn't express such a desire so far. They're making this marketplace play, and that means that this space is there for somebody else to occupy.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer a little bit my own question here. So, because I've been thinking about that. To me, it's kind of like Coinbase. Like, my mind is like OpenSea is kind of like Coinbase, where like, okay, they're early mover, they have a lot of volume, they can like attract a lot of liquidity, and Rarible, in a way, the protocol is almost like a Uniswap where many different players can use it, and we can capture the long tail of many applications and all the volume that's going to come. So that's kind of the analogy I've been thinking of in my head. I don't know if that's like, in a way that resonates with you, but
Yep, that definitely resonates. So in crypto, we have this history of new businesses built in a couple years just after the previous ones became that so big that they feel impossible to overcome. And then you have this, I don't know, new wave of new technology. Decentralized dexes got crazy volumes this years, and Binance started to implement all sorts of DeFi mechanics, and they're still lacking. So it's just, I don't know, the landscape shifted, and now the whole thing is different.
Yeah, totally. It can definitely change very quickly.
Yeah. So protocol to protocol interactions are important. Protocol to protocol. That was one thing that adopted that made DEXs really great, because
Totally.
on Rarible, we can, at some point, we had this feature like pay with any ERC token. And we were able to convert them on the fly just before they land into the protocol. You could pay with any ERC20 token for the item. We couldn't go to Coinbase and convert that on the fly and withdraw and pay for the item. That's impossible. So interoperability is a killing feature.
Yeah, it's a Lego block as opposed to a
business.
A business. Yeah.
So yeah, the Lego block for NFTs.
Totally. So sorry. So going back to the target market. So you mentioned these aggregators, MetaMask. I mean, there's also another component here, which is the indexer, which I think also has like a different target market, right? Like, so for those who don't know, the indexer is like a way to collect all the NFT data and display them on your site or your application. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the indexer, it has several components. There is an NFT indexer. It's the database that tells you like who owns what. It's exactly like the complete index of the NFT ownership that exists there on the Ethereum network. So if you want to build a marketplace that would track all the NFTs that ever existed, you could just query them on the indexer and then start to display, filter out the way you want, and then start to display that. Also, there is an ERC20 indexer that tells you what ERC balances user have. You needed to understand like can they are they solvent for their bid or not? Like do they actually have money on the balance in order to be able to bid? And there is an order indexer, which tells you it's the core of the protocol. Basically, it tells you like orders, buy and sell orders. So it can return you bids and sell listings for items, and it can tell you this bids and sell listings for items, and more. This is this shared order book that we're talking about.
And so the target market for the indexer, might not be the same target market for, the indexer has a broader audience.
The indexer has a broader audience. If you just want to display any information about the NFT, its history of ownership. Yeah, there is history and activity. There is history and activity APIs. So when you see an NFT, you can tell that, okay, it was minted at that point in time to this address. Then it was moved from one address to another. It was sold, bought, and etc. So any NFT any wallet that wants to do something with NFTs can use that. Or any informational product, that needs to display metadata, all sorts of things like that. They can use an indexer.
Yeah. Now going back to the target market of the other, if you go up on your sheet here, so we talked about aggregators, like wallets like MetaMask, for example, target market for the indexer. What about, I mean, there's also like a whole target market for like minters, like people who actually want to create NFTs, like we saw Sing and Coco NFT, which they just provide supply to the protocol, right?
Yeah. So target market, it basically is divided to 3 parts. It's one-sided businesses, it's minters, it's supply. Anyone who wants to create new NFTs and put them on the order book. The second part is storefronts. It's the apps that have users and demand. They can filter the marketplace. They can show any items on their storefront, and people can buy or sell. For example, like JPEG market would be perfect example for that. They're doing curation. They just doing the demand side. Yep, and there are two-sided businesses. It's sided businesses. It's marketplaces. It's marketplaces that just want to connect to the liquidity. It's the marketplace. You can take the vertical, for example, like 3D NFTs, and you can build a marketplace for 3D NFTs. Now you would filter out only 3D NFTs on the demand side, and you would filter out only 3D NFTs on the supply side. But in the same time, all your NFTs would be available on all the other marketplaces. So you would have like the demand, the higher demand than you can have on your own marketplace. So it's one-sided business or two-sided business, or it's the left-sided, the right-sided, or two-sided business, which is the target market. It's supply, it's minter apps, curated minters, I don't know, like smaller, just basically anyone who isn't developing the buy side, but only pushing the supply on the marketplace. They're using the marketplace as the distribution.
Right. And then some of the challenges you were talking about, I imagine are more relevant to like the two-sided businesses or the storefronts than the minters. Like it seems like the experience for the minters on the protocol, like Coco NFT, is potentially simpler because like you're just using lazy minting or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the minters, your actually target for the minters is distribution. Like, how do you make sure that your NFTs, after they got minted, that they actually get sold? So they need to get into the specific category. For example, like a hot collection, Coco, which Rarible.com drives traffic to, right? It has it on the main page to make sure that people can see the NFTs from there. Some NFTs would be organically driven as soon as we implement the trending filters, all sorts of trending filters. As soon as somebody has seen the NFT, they upvoted that, they liked it, and it gets up. While for the demand marketplaces, if you want to create a storefront, so for example, we've spoken to somebody like who can I name here? Somebody like NFT Talk, right? NFT talk. I hope they're okay that I'm saying that, but they were like, imagine we adopt the protocol and we have an app that shows NFTs, like which NFTs should we actually show? Like we want to show the best NFTs out there to be able to make sure that they sell. We want to show the most interesting NFTs to our users. So for example, if a random big bank starts to dive into NFTs and they want to sell some NFTs through their consumer app, like which NFTs should they show? Probably they should show a Bored Ape Club or something like that. And but they don't know that. They don't know that they should share a Bored Ape Club. So there should be some kind of API, trending API to show all the things that are great for sale. So and not a lot of this yet exists.
Yeah, work in progress, definitely.
Do you so we're always single collections created by mentors, and then those like Coco NFT, like if they're working with the protocol as a third-party provider, you know, maybe they, you know, at some point in the future, would they have their own section? You know, those that are creating the two storefront demand, since it's limited.
Yeah, they would have their own storefront at some point. They would have their own collection at first. Sure. And if that collection gets popular, it gets to the trending collections. We do want to drive the adoption of the protocol, so we might create some featured collection section just to show people that the Coco NFTs, they are great. Take a look at them. It's not really sustainable. We can't add these things more and more. They should automatically be picked up. If something is great, it should have a distribution. That's the core, like marketplace play.
Right. Okay, so we got just over 10 minutes, 15 minutes here. Would love to open it up. I'm sure some people have some questions.
I was wondering, how are you thinking of monetization for protocol?
So I guess we want to create this picture for a while now. So there is an NFT. There is an NFT which costs $100. So this is $100, and so the structure, how that is the most well thought out thing, I guess, so far, and it's quite complicated, but this is the answer: how do we monetize the protocol? So there is the notion of the buyer front-end fee. There is the notion of the protocol fee, buyer fee. There is a notion of protocol seller fee, and there is a notion of seller front-end fee. So this is seller front-end fee. This is the buyer front-end fee.
Do you guys understand what that means when he says seller front-end fee, buyer front-end fee?
Yeah, it would be great to give us a little definition.
It's like if you have like an application like Coco NFT, where you're just listing items for sale. So you list the item for sale on Coco NFT, and then it gets purchased on Rarible.com, for example. So you have two sides: one place where you sell, one place where you buy. The seller front-end fee would be something Coco NFT could implement on their application, and then the buyer front-end fee could be something that Rarible.com would implement. So part of the fee would go to Coco, part of the fee would go to Rarible. So it's the place where you buy, place where you sell, and the fee associated with that.
Does it make sense? Should I unpack more?
That's good. I think it's clear.
Yeah. So it's a Coco NFT it's a protocol fee. For example, it's like 2%, right? Then there's protocol buyer fee, it's like 0.5%. Protocol seller fee, 0.5%. And front-end seller fee, 2%. So the buyer, yeah.
Just to add, so it's buyer or seller depending on who's actually accepting the bid, right? Like you have, in any sale you have or the buyer or the seller, not both at the same time.
No, you have, and that's not exactly right. You have both at the same time. So the front, it's the we always have two orders. We have a sell order and we have a buy order. So when I come to Coco NFT and I put something up for sale through them, lazy minted item, the Coco NFT says, okay, 2% front-end fee. And then this order, this the Coco NFT would actually have the seller fee, not the buyer. Yeah, Coco NFT say, okay, we want 2% on this sale. Now this order, the sell order gets into the order book. We post it into the protocol, and it gets displayed on Rarible. And somebody came on Rarible, found this order, and they bought it. So they paid $2.5, out of which $2 get to Rarible, 0.5 to protocol, 0.5 to protocol, 2 to Coco, and 97.5 to the seller that got registered on the Coco NFT site. And the order is displayed not only on Rarible but on any other marketplace that shows items. So if you have, for example, the Coco NFT team say, okay, the guys from Zapper are our friends, so we have a close contact to them, and they think that the exactly Coco NFTs are great, and they want to prioritize them in the storefront. So when you go to Zapper, you see Coco NFTs on the first place, and then the Zapper would get this 2%, not Rarible. So anyone who brought the buyer would get the buyer fee. Anyone who brought the seller would get the seller fee, and the protocol sits in between.
And then in order to get those fees, do we have to do anything specific when creating like the buy order or anything along those lines? Like say we're Coco NFT, we want to do everything, right? We want to do the sell and the buy all on our site as well. So do we have to do anything special to implement that buyer front end fee?
Yeah. So you go to API Rarible.com, API reference, Rarible.com. It's horrible. Rarible.com, and you find the encode order controller.
Yep.
And there is a data field, and you need to pass to the data field. It says origin fees.
Mm-hmm.
It's named origin fee, and I don't know why we said that it's an origin fee. Front end fee was feeling a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit stupid, probably. And origin made a lot of sense, but now I just keep telling people that it's a front end fee. So again, let's just say that it's origin fee. It's origin. It's the fee that gets to the origin of the order. That should make sense. So you supply the origin fee here. An origin fee, it's the array. It's the array of tuples, and in the tuples, array of JSON maps actually. So in the, it has address, 0x blah 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 and comma value. I hope I didn't mess up with names, but it's on the API reference. And here you set up the percentage to this address of the fees that would get to this address, and you say 100, and the 100 means 1% because the fees should be the integer number, and it's basis points. It's hundreds of a percentage.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to jump into that in more detail, it's probably the dev call is a good place to, and we can probably dive into this if it makes sense, if there's a demand for that.
Yeah. So my only question is, so we have to specify the exact amount that we want to charge. So if we didn't want to charge any buyer front end fee, we don't have to, right?
Correct.
You just specify the number here in the sell order, and your seller would get would take the price minus protocol fee minus your origin fee. So your seller would get less on each sell.
Yeah. All right, few minutes here. Any other questions? Okay, great. Yeah, this is a really good overview. I think we can, post this on YouTube, and hopefully new people coming into the ecosystem will be able to have an overview of the DAO and then have an overview of the protocol. And so it'll be a good primer for people coming in. So I think it was really worthwhile to dive into this.
Okay, yeah, guys, thank you for all the great questions.
Yeah. All right, so we can end early. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Happy Friday, happy weekend. And yeah, we'll see you guys around.
Peace.
Thanks.